Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we bring you a small business success story from BNI. And if you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International. It's the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, if you're not familiar with North Carolina, is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. We have 29 chapters going strong. We have 6 core groups trying to become full chapters. We've got about 600 members each week that get together and help their fellow members pass business. So each week we bring you a success story. This week we've got Matt Stone with Farm Bureau Insurance. Matt, good to have you here today.
Good to be here, Mike.
Matt is in RDO 4. It is OpenEye BNI. They meet Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. at the Frontier. Matt is one of the visitor hosts for the group. And each week we like to find the firsts of all of our guests. We've had somebody that's born in Germany, Ricky Treffer. We had Amy Grettenstein, who had her own IMDb page, which was cool. And Matt is the longest running member of Triangle BNI. He's been in it 18 years.
Father time.
Yes. And so you started when you were 19, so we'll go with that story. But Matt's in RDO 4. And like I said, he's the longest sitting member in Triangle BNI. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Here we are, early April. How's 2019 season looking like for business for you for Farm Bureau?
It started absolutely amazing. So I had a great year last year, and just been continuing rolling. So
did you put the budget pressure on yourself for this year?
Absolutely. So it's been a great year so far.
When you got into Farm Bureau, did you have back in the day were there seasons, and now it's just 12 months?
No, it's almost always been 12 months. Now there are busier seasons. Example, now springtime would be busy when home buying. Since I have a direct relation with real estate purchases, and that can be a little bit busier now through this summertime.
Okay.
But it's always busy. So,
and you
because I'm doing service work as well, so new sales and service.
Okay. And you get people turning 16 year round.
That's right.
Which you love. Is more people should have more kids,
I
right?
do, but then it becomes riskier, and I feel bad for the people because the rates go crazy, and want everybody to be safe too.
Now, 10 years ago, what are the rates today roughly versus back then for that 16-year-old?
Oh, it's definitely more. It's going to be 20% more.
Proportional though,
proportional, right? Up? I mean, it's always either your rates in a very average situation. It's probably going to double when you add a 16-year-old driver, but then it drops down pretty significantly after 1 full year. But it's always been like that. It's just the rates are a little bit higher now.
When I'm driving down the road and I see the student driver car, and I feel for them having, I have 2 boys, so having gone through that, they're turning 16, got insurance. I just think to the parents, okay,
I've got 3 of them. I've got 3 of them almost 3 years apart, so I'm going to get bam, bam, bam. Okay.
But it's better than 3 weddings, 3 years apart.
Yeah,
true. You got to pay for the whole thing.
Point.
So, in BNI, each week chapters meet, and if you go to trianglebni.com, look in the upper right-hand corner, you will see Find a Chapter. And if you click on that, it will give you the list of all the chapters throughout the Triangle by day part, by city. Find out which one works best for you. I always recommend you have to find the date and the time that works, because you may find the greatest group in the world on Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock, but your work has a 10 a.m. staff meeting every Tuesday. Nothing you can do about that. So go look on there, find out what works best for you. And please go visit a chapter. BNI is not always for everybody. We're not asking you to join yet, but go visit a chapter, see what you find out. If you or someone you know is looking to start a business or grow a business, you're going to find like-minded people in that room who are going to help you do that. One of the things in a regular BNI meeting is the featured speaker for the week. And depending on the size of your group, you get either 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And each week that speaker is introduced by the member bio sheet, Matt. So we're going to start with this.
Sounds good.
All right. So Matt Stone, Farm Bureau Insurance, a profession. You hold the property and casualty seat.
Yes.
Which basically covers what?
So mainly do personal auto and home insurance. So like I don't do a lot of commercial lines, but again, you've got your mom and pops, homeowners, car insurance, just like you just mentioned. So those are the main 2 things. And I also do personal life insurance, and since we don't have another life agent, I still do that.
But you focus on what's the easiest way into the bundling for a client?
The most common way for me to get new business is through a real estate agent or a mortgage lender who is in that part of that process where somebody is moving to the area or just buying a house. and they want a quote on a home policy, or if they're new to the area, they don't know anyone, or they have a 1-800 number and they don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so then I get a referral from that person to then take it from there. So homeowners is typically my foot in the door.
Okay, and
And
then you talk about bundling, bringing the
yes,
auto
it's a
under
lot.
that. Okay.
Yeah, most of the time you can save a decent amount of money on both products by combining.
Can you tell a lot about the quality of the realtor if their client ends up doing everything with you because that client listens to the realtor and realtor goes, "You have to go with Matt."
No, not necessarily. I mean, no, because I'll get some from realtors that are consistent. That's almost a slam dunk, and then the same person might send one. I think it's more about the client than it
Yeah.
is the actual realtor.
And if they're coming from out of state, they're
Mhm.
more likely to go with you because they don't know anybody?
Yes, that's um, in most cases, somebody moving to the areas, I'm going to have a better chance because they don't have a relationship.
Does anything transfer if you're moving from Virginia or Colorado or
It
anything?
doesn't. So North insurance is regulated by state. So
Okay.
even if you have State Farm, you still need to find a North Carolina state.
Okay. And I'm sure you hear from people moving from out of state
Farm.
one way or the other. God, I can't believe these prices,
Uh,
right?
well, no, we're
Either way, either you're very high or very
yeah,
low,
we're
right?
actually North Carolina is one of the lowest in the South, or we are the one lowest. Like I think we're number 10 in the country for the lowest rates on car
Really?
insurance. Absolutely, because we're very highly regulated, and on
Yeah.
homeowners as well. We can't. We never make money on home insurance. It's a loss leader, just like that. The $2, whatever, the $5 ribeye at the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's the loss leader because you never know when a hurricane's going to come through. You never know when a tornado is
No.
coming through, hailstorm, windstorm. You cannot predict any of that, so you can't set your rates appropriately. Car insurance, on the other hand, we can make money because we know based on your driving record, how
Oh,
long you've
okay.
been driving,
Mhm.
your credit score, where you live. I mean, all kinds of factors that people that are smarter than me at math come up with. We can make money based on that. So,
Okay.
but yeah, North Carolina is one of the lowest
Well,
in the
that's
country.
then they love talking to you, right?
Yeah, so
'Cause
especially coming from the Northeast, they love it.
oh, yeah, and we've had realtors
Yeah,
on the show that talk about
yeah,
people moving from California, like,
yeah,
a guy met just moved from Vermont, and he couldn't believe the
yeah.
house price. He goes, "Wait, I can get where's the rest of the I can get all this
Right.
for that
And
price."
just and we've been incredibly fortunate where we live. I work in Durham and I'm from Durham. But that area, I mean, we got hit with a recession, but not bad.
Yeah.
And people are just moving in this area.
Oh,
It's 60 a day in Wake
yeah.
County. And I think it's dropped a little bit, but we consistently have the people to insure. I mean, that has not been a problem
Yeah.
finding the people. Where some areas of the state aren't
Oh,
quite like that, or the
yeah.
country.
And just when you think of that number,
Mhm.
even
Yeah,
if it's not
no.
60, even if
If
it's
it's
30,
55 or yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's like
right.
every day moving in here,
Yeah.
but there's a reason why. I mean, it's a wonderful
Absolutely,
place to
and I've
live, so
never lived anywhere else.
I know. We'll talk about that as well. Location of your office and years in business for you.
So, on Miami Boulevard near Alexander Drive, so basically in RTP, and I've been in business, since August of '99, so almost 20 years.
There you go. Now, my second favorite question, your previous types of jobs. I
Yes.
have your work history.
Right,
I want that high school job that's most memorable because it turned out good or bad,
but
or the first you were
I
talking
mean,
about earlier.
well, I mean, I started, doing a paper route when I was maybe 12. And so that was my first job, did that for a couple years, and then went to Winn-Dixie, those old grocery store up the road, and was a bag boy there for a while. And then I ended up getting so then my favorite job, after that, there was a daycare that was right up the street from in my neighborhood where I grew up. And as you probably know, after school care is mostly run by females.
Mhm.
And the owner, we knew through somebody at church, wanted a high school boy just to play sports and things with the boys that are there. So the after school boys. So literally the only thing I did after school. So I go to school, then I go to my job and just play football and dodgeball and basketball and whatever. And I didn't have to do any of the discipline, diaper change. I didn't do
Nice.
anything. It was more just
How old
playing
were
that.
you when you got
So
that
that
job?
was I was 15 or 16 and did that through when I left for college.
So which of those 3 jobs paid better?
That one.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had time off, had paid time off, and yeah, it
Really?
was good little deal. It
And
was a perfect gig for a high schooler.
you're home by 6, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we got off at 6. Had to
Nice.
sweep the gym, that was the only thing I had to do.
Okay.
Yeah, had to
Alright.
sweep.
So you're a paper boy.
Yes.
Which paper?
It was called the Village Advocate. No, obviously no longer around, but it was a local, um, for Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. It was a newspaper where it was nothing but ads, really. I mean, they had a few articles, but yeah, very odd situation. You didn't subscribe to it; it just showed up on your doorstep every Wednesday and Sunday, and just it was ads, coupons, things like that. Maybe a little interest article. I don't know. I didn't read it. I just
How much did you make for that?
I think it was like 15 cents a paper or something. I mean, something stupid. I mean, I don't remember what it was. And my mom hooked me up and she was nice. She would help. She would they delivered them all to our house and I'd have my entire street and all the cul-de-sacs. My mom actually would go and drop them off at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. So I wasn't carrying all
Oh,
these
okay.
tons of paper, but
Uh,
they did. They didn't let you throw them on the, you had to physically put it on the door or on the
oh,
porch. You
really?
couldn't throw it or move it.
Okay.
Yeah. They were
Was that
strict
morning
about
or
that.
afternoon?
Morning. It was
Okay.
morning.
Before school?
No, it was no, so Wednesday must have been after. I really
Okay.
don't remember. It never interfered with school, so I must have done it
That's a
in the
shame,
evening.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, right? Sunday was morning, definitely.
Now
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure your paper story is not as good as Joe Navarra, who he's a
Yep.
friend of the
Mhm.
show. He actually got fired from his paper route when he was
Did he
16.
just ditch them?
They just fell asleep. He and his buddy fell asleep on the side of the road one day
Right.
delivering the afternoon paper. So
Yeah.
yours next time you
Yeah,
see
I
him,
did it.
you can swap paper boy
Yeah, I've never
stories
been
and
fired from a job, so
next section in here is personal information, family.
yeah.
So your spouse,
Laura,
okay. I
married
asked
to
everybody to say two
yeah,
questions. How did you meet?
uh-huh.
And you both answer the same way.
No, which is funny. Um,
Tell us your side.
so yeah, so I mean, it's kind of the same, but I tell it. So we met on New Year's Eve, 2005. We were at a bar called Michael Dean's, the bar restaurant. It's moved around a few times, so it's in
Here?
the original, yeah, in
Okay.
Raleigh, original location. And since it was New Year's Eve, you had to have a reservation to get in. Not if you were eating, no, it's just you had to
Yeah.
prepay to go. Well, I was with a party of 9, and we got there, and it was 5 of us, 5 of our party of 9. And we go and, get to the door, and they said I see 3 girls sitting there, standing at the door. I'm gonna go in, and they said, "Oh, is your whole party here?" I said, "Yeah, it's us and these girls right here." And, and so yeah, it's
Nice.
smooth, right? And so but they weren't quick enough at the time, so they were going, "No, no, it's okay." And so it's, "All right, whatever." So then we went on in, and so we had dinner, and then we went to the party, had a DJ and a band, and so we decided so then we were there, and I was having a drink, and my wife now came up to me and just said, she said she told her friend, says, "I want to find that cute boy that was, trying to help us out."
Here
That
we
was nice
go.
of him. And so then I'm sitting there. She just came up and said, "Hi, I'm Laura, and can I buy you a drink? That was nice of you to try to get us in." That was
Dang.
it. And she hooked
Okay.
up with a husband.
Right.
So,
And how long after that did you two marry?
we got married in April '08. So
Okay.
December 31st of 5.
Okay.
So the reason we tell it differently um, is that I sometimes neglect the little part. I just say if somebody says how you meet, I say she picked me up at a bar,
I like
right?
that. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
because she
Right.
did actually come up and
Mhm.
introduce herself, but
Yeah.
I had also made the first move. So,
Yes.
but I say she picked me up at the bar.
That's
So
funny.
that's
Okay.
different. Yeah,
Kids?
I have 3 boys. Ben, Cooper, Jack. Ben is 10, Cooper is 7, Jack is 4.
All right. Do you have brothers and
I have
sisters?
an older sister. She lives in Portland.
Does your wife have a brother?
No,
Okay, so she has no idea with little
no,
boys in the house what that
no.
was
Well,
gonna
she
be
does
like.
now.
Yeah, but beforehand, I
But no.
found that with mothers that
Uh-uh,
didn't have
no,
brothers.
and it was
Oh,
funny,
that's kinda new.
she's got 3 she's the middle of 3 girls, and
Oh,
she
her
is the
dad.
girliest of the
Okay.
girls, so it's just funny that she doesn't, that she kind of assumed she might have a girl and just and 3 loud boys and 1 loud husband
There you
and
go.
1 boy dog. So
Oh, and what's the dog's name?
Buckets, rescue.
How'd you come up with the name?
We were trying to come up with intriguing name, like, we were trying to come up with, like, Louie or Smitty, for Dean Smith,
Mhm.
and but my Cooper, who's now 7, was 3 or 4. I don't remember how old he was. We were at the place, the rescue, and he just looked. I think he saw some buckets on the side and was like, "Buckets." We just kind of laughed at the name and it stopped. We couldn't shake it. He went a weekend without a name and we couldn't shake the name Buckets.
Buckets,
Yeah, so
okay.
it's hilarious. He's a
Everybody's happy, right?
78-pound pit slash lab
Oh,
mix.
geez,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's big dog, big
Eats a
muscular dog named
eats a
Buckets.
bucket full of
Yeah,
food, doesn't he?
he does.
Jeez. Any good stories behind naming the 3 boys?
Not particular. We I wanted to be surprised. My wife let me have the "It's a" boy moment.
Okay,
But I really, really wanted that for the first one. And so we had narrowed it down to Ben Ben and Molly, the
okay,
girl. So I got my, it's a boy. So we just like the name Ben. It's
okay,
kind of
yeah.
like Ben sounds like a good time guy.
It does,
Just a
yeah,
good guy.
yeah.
His middle name Wilson is my mother-in-law's maiden name. So
Cool.
her mom's
Okay.
maiden name. Cooper, um, we did find out with him because she was like, "I've had enough surprises. Let's
Yeah.
get."
Yeah.
So I'll let she decide to she got to decide that whatever. And so Cooper just made me smile. Like we narrowed it down to Andrew was our second choice for Ben, and then Andrew's our second choice for Cooper.
All right.
And Cooper just made me smile. And so I like that name, so we
Okay.
stuck with that. And then McKay is her grandmother's maiden name.
All right.
And
Good to keep it in the
also we
family.
also say so her mom's name is Kay and my mom's name is Mary, so MK.
Okay.
Also kind of a little shout out
All
there.
right.
And then lastly, Jack. We just again like the name. Andrew came in second again and
Yeah.
didn't quite make the cut. But Jack, we just liked it. His middle name is Gentry, who is my grandfather's middle name.
I like
So
that.
yeah, so we kept all the so Jack Gentry.
Yep. I like the middle names with
Yeah.
family. My youngest son, my brother's son, and my grandson all have Murphy as a middle name,
Mhm.
which is my mom's maiden name.
Yeah.
So it's cool to keep that
Yeah,
family
that's
connection. I
yeah,
like
then
that a
you have
lot. Mm.
their own person.
Hobbies and activities of interest other than being an obnoxious UNC
I'm a very
graduate
obnoxious UN I'm
and
not an obnoxious I'm
proudly.
not an obnoxious UNC graduate, I'm an obnoxious UNC fan. So, but, so yeah, that is definitely a hobby, and really, at this moment, kids are my
Yeah.
activities and hobbies
Oh,
because
yeah.
I mean, they're all involved, and so and they just and I want them to be, I mean, I don't want them to, we don't have any video gaming systems, I don't have them sitting around playing video games,
Yep.
I want them
Good.
doing something on teams and playing, so that's really what we were doing that nonstop, but I also I mean, I love being outside,
Mm.
hiking, like water skiing in the summertime. I like snow skiing. Um, free time is really
Yeah.
with kids.
Oh, yeah, because 'cause you're
So
driving everywhere with
that's right.
3.
That's right.
And it's funny when you bring the first kid home, it's a zone.
Oh
2
no.
parents, 1 kid.
Oh, right,
You
right,
bring
right.
the second kid
Man to
home, it's
man.
man to man.
That's right.
You bring the 3rd kid home and all bets are off,
It's
right? Yeah.
zone. Yeah.
You're trying to
And
figure out,
it
I got these 2, this time you got that
Yep.
one.
And one is life changing. Like if you go from no kid, when you have one kid, it's life changing.
Yes.
2 was 1 to 2, I thought was really, really hard.
Huge, yes.
It's way more work than twice the work. It's way more than twice the work of one. The
Agreed.
third you throw in, I mean, yeah, some minor inconveniences. You get over the baby stuff.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't as tough. It
Yeah.
wasn't as tough going from 2 to 3 as 1 to 2.
But 1 to 2, yeah, because
Yeah,
now
it's a
suddenly
nightmare.
you gotta keep track of 2 people
Yeah,
instead of
seriously. Or,
1.
oh, sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the toddler doesn't care that you didn't sleep or, you still gotta
And
deal
he's
to
trying to wake the
cha
baby up.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that was
Well,
really tough.
shaking the crib, "Wake
Yeah.
up, wake up."
Third, inconveniences like, I've got a pickup truck, so now we gotta
Yeah.
figure out where to put them and, the 4 tops, going to a ball game, now we have 5 seats instead of
Yeah.
4,
Oh, yeah.
things like that, but as far as difficult, same.
City of residence, you are a Durham boy.
So, yes, I'm born and raised in Durham. I mean, I live in Wake County currently, and literally you could throw a ball from my house to the Durham County line.
Okay.
But I am in Wake County. And funny enough, my wife moved around quite a bit growing up until middle school. She moved to Raleigh. So she's used to, moving different places. My parents still live in the same house since 1971.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So to me, moving is an odd thing.
Yeah.
And so when I got to this area, I said, it just doesn't feel like my area. It doesn't feel like my people. And she goes, Durham is right there. We didn't go anywhere. So, but yeah, I'm from Durham. Both of my parents from Durham. They grew up about a mile from each other. My grandparents, both sides, are from Durham.
Really?
Both grandma and grandpa, are from Durham. My great grandparents from Durham. You cannot find anyone in my family tree. My mom retired maybe 10 years ago, and did some genealogy. You can't find a single person in my family on either side that is not from going back to England, not from Person County, Orange County, Chatham County, or Durham County.
Very
Every
nice.
single person.
All right.
Yeah, I'm as local can be.
There you go. And your wife knew about did she go to Carolina?
Yes. She's
Okay.
4 years younger than me though, so we did
So
not
she's used to all the okay. All right.
we did not have any time
Okay.
together there.
So basketball, it's just good that she understood
Oh,
basketball
yes.
season.
Yes.
And for the folks here watching or listening, if you're not from the Triangle,
Yeah.
the Duke Carolina dynamics is unbelievable. And I heard people talking about if Duke and Carolina were to meet in the national championship game tonight, which
Couldn't
they're
take 'em.
not, half the city would have been half the area
Yes.
would have been burned down.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful rivalry. And sometimes you have to pick sides because you guys make
Yeah.
people pick
Yeah.
sides,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, all right. Heard an interview years ago with Krzyzewski. He was on Dan Patrick's show, and Patrick goes, "So, how often do you go to Chapel Hill?" He goes, only for games.
Yeah,
And
why
he
would
goes,
he?
"Do you spend any money in Chapel Hill?" He goes, "No, I don't go there other than games." So,
Now
which was
the players all they'll come, but especially when I was in school in the '90s, there was next to nothing to do in Durham, so there
yeah.
would Duke basketball players out in Chapel Hill all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
but not now.
not yeah, not anymore.
No, not with social media now, yeah. And Durham's wonderfully built up.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
absolutely. I love
downtown
what
is,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love what they done.
And I like the people in Raleigh who have never been big fans of
Mhm.
Durham.
Yeah,
They need to go to downtown Durham
yeah,
because that place is blowing up. I
yeah,
mean, there's wonderful bars and they
yep,
got DPAC and they got Carolina Theater
mhm.
and stuff
And
there.
Bulls,
The hotel's going up, Durham
mhm,
Bulls. Oh yeah, the
yep,
apartments going up.
and now the area near Full Steam with the axe throwing and
Oh
the
yeah.
boxcar,
Yep.
yep, and
Huge.
Dame's Chicken and Waffles moved there.
Yeah. Well, craft brewery, I mean, in North Carolina is big, but
Mhm.
Durham
Yeah.
particularly,
Yeah,
it's
we
growing
don't
big
go
time.
because of where we live, we actually rarely go downtown. It's a lot further for even though I'm in Wake County, it's a lot further to go to downtown Raleigh than Durham.
Oh yeah.
So we go
Yeah.
to we I never go downtown Raleigh, I'm always in Durham.
Oh yeah. No, wonderful
Yeah.
place. Your burning desire is
Yeah.
to, after you sip the water
Mhm.
here, holding the State
Yeah.
Farm Cup, right?
No, not State Farm,
Oh.
Farm
Oh,
Bureau. So,
where's the tip jar? Let me put a dollar in.
yeah, right?
I am sorry
It's okay.
about
I'm
that.
gonna create the all-time greatest insurance company and call it Allstate Farm Bureau Wide. So that's gonna be the name of my company. So anyway,
All right, nobody
bur
trademark that in the next hour or so.
um,
Your
burning
burning
desire.
desire.
So I put on there. I mean, I think on my bio now it says to have a
Jeez.
$3 million book of business, and that just means if you took, you pay $800 in home insurance and $1,500 in car insurance a year. When those numbers equal 3 million,
Okay.
that's what. When I started almost 20 years ago, $1 million book of business was like, that was the pinnacle. That's where you try to get, and now they're almost starting people with that now.
Did you have to buy a book of
No,
business when you got
no,
in?
Farm Bureau is cool, with the starting it's different, so we do say you have to kind of fit the Farm Bureau mold. I mean, there are
Mm,
different each company has their own way of starting up, and with us, if a manager likes you and you go the interview process and wants to offer a job position, there has to be an existing book of business. So we are then contracted, but then given existing clients that need servicing. So
okay.
that comes from either somebody retiring or another agent.
Okay.
So it's not, so you do not buy into it. I mean, my overhead is so very little and it has changed so very little even since the first time I started. The only thing I do now, probably more than I did then, was a little more advertising. And by advertising, I do things like if a good example would be a real estate agent is real involved in her PTA and she
Yeah.
wants to help a
Okay.
sponsorship. Then anything that if someone else is passionate about someone about something, I want to help them to help that, whatever I can do
But
to
you
help.
have to make sure your name as well as
Yes.
Farm Bureau's on that,
Yes.
because otherwise
I
they'll
don't want
just
Farm Bureau name on there. I want Matt
right.
Stone Farm Bureau. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
otherwise they'll just
No, I don't want yeah.
find me a number at the Farm Bureau, and
Actually,
it's like,
absolutely.
"Wait, that's my
Yeah,
business."
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't do a whole lot of advertising, but
Yeah.
I do things to help people.
And how far are you away from your 3 million book of business?
I'm all
40,
over it.
30
I don't
grand?
know the exact number, but
But
I'm
you're
all
close,
over
right?
yeah, so I might have
Okay.
to bump it up again.
Alright, so, call Matt
Yes.
at Farm Bureau, not State Farm.
That's
I'll get it
right.
right. Call him and help him get to his $3 million book
There you
of
go.
business. The key to your success.
Um, the golden rule,
Yeah.
dude, and that's actually, in talking about tattoos, that's actually tattooed right here,
Oh, cool.
and it's in Greek, the way it was written in the New Testament, but do to others as you want them to do to you. I feel like if the entire if everybody tried to live by that, the world is a much better place.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with a bunch of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about this show is I learn something, which is a great joy for me because I love asking questions, learning stuff, and every time I see Matt, he's in a long sleeve shirt, usually a
That's
tie,
high.
and so we're sitting here before the show, and he raises his arms up to stretch. I'm like, "Hey, how many tattoos you got?" I didn't even know he had those. So, but that's how you learn things,
That's right.
We have
That's
fun with
right.
that. My favorite question is: there's a few people watching today that haven't gotten to know you quite yet, but
Uh-huh.
they will by the end of the show, and
Mhm.
hopefully, a couple will call you and help you get to your
Yeah.
$3 million book of business. What's something they don't know about you?
Man, so it's being in BNI so long, I've done this. I've done a 10 minute so many times. So I was just this was the one I was going to use next time that I was thinking. But because Luke Perry just passed away, I never. I'm kind of embarrassed, but I never missed an episode of 90210. I didn't watch. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, but for whatever reason, that show sucked me in, and they were on the show. They were the same age as me,
Yeah.
and even through college, I'd watch it and people would clown on me, but I never miss a single episode of that stupid show. And I even hated it at the end. I said, this is what a crack addiction must be like because I really don't want to be watching it, but I couldn't stand it. I couldn't
What
stop.
was the initial hook of the show? Okay.
teenagers, high school.
Some
Again, they were
girl
about the same thing.
some
Yeah,
girl watched
probably.
it, and
They
so you
probably they were the same age.
okay.
So that yeah, and I'm sure a girl I was dating wanted to watch it or something. But they were the same age, and I felt like it was. I don't know, they were going through the drama. I didn't have any drama in high school.
No, not at all.
No.
Which high school did you go to?
I went to Jordan 2 years,
Okay.
and then I went to Southern Durham for 2 years.
Okay.
So, and I love Southern Durham. I don't claim Jordan.
Okay.
Fun fact though, there are 2 Carolina Carolina basketball alumni coaching at both my high schools though,
Rashid.
because got Rashid at Jordan and David Noel is at Southern.
Oh,
And they
didn't
both
know
play.
that.
Yep, play
Okay.
basketball at Carolina.
And I'm sure each side reminds the other that, "Hey, do
Probably.
you know" yeah. So,
Hey, David's got a national championship though. Rashid does not.
oh, that's true,
Even though
yeah.
even though he's sitting on 70 million or
Oh, he
whatever,
made
whatever
some
he's
money,
worth.
yeah. He made some money. Feel bad for him. Hopefully, he'll get a break one
Yeah.
day, right? We are here with Matt Stone with Farm Bureau Insurance. Matt is in RDO4, Open Eye BNI. They meet Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. at the Frontier. So if you are a Wednesday morning person, please come out and visit. They're usually, which room are you guys usually in?
Uh, it's right off the main room. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I don't remember the
Canyon
name, but yeah,
Room.
it
There's a
sounds right.
couple there.
That sounds
So,
about
okay.
right.
We also mentioned
We
earlier
have a
that
sign.
Matt, yeah, we do have signs.
Yeah.
And David Prince is
Yeah.
real good about doing that. We did talk earlier about Matt being the longest running member of Triangle BNI. And I always ask the guests every week, when was literally the first time
Yeah.
you ever heard BNI?
Well, yeah, nobody had heard of BNI when I started. So, um, so again, go back to December of 2000. There was the only mortgage lender at the time. So I've been in business for a year. The only mortgage lender at the time that was sending me referrals, called me up and said, "Hey Matt, I want you to be at and I was actually not even there anymore. The Butterfly House at the Museum of Life and Science, the old Butterfly House. I want you to be at the Butterfly House, Museum of Life and Science at 7 a.m. tomorrow." But okay. I mean, so if the guy that's sending me all this business tells me to be somewhere, I'll be there. He didn't tell me what it was. He didn't tell. He just said, "I want you to be there at 7 a.m." I said, "Okay." So I showed up, and then the area director at the time was there and explained what it was. There was a guy from New York that was in a BNI group there that came. He transferred down here. I don't even life of me remember what he did, but he was in New York in a group and wanted to start one here. They got transferred, whatever job he was doing. And
Was
so,
that the first meeting of the first group for Triangle BNI?
as far as I know,
Wow.
yeah. And so they explained what it was, and there were about 8 of us in the room, and we started. And that's why the name is Open Eye, because we met at 0700 for on Thursdays at 7
Okay.
o'clock
That makes
for
sense.
years. And then it got to be more trouble inviting guests because people didn't want to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
visit at 7 o'clock in the morning.
My
But
chapter meets at 7:30, and we get the same look like,
yeah,
really?
but I loved it. I hate getting up in the
Perfect.
morning, but I
Yeah.
love it because there's never if you're in town, there's never a conflict. You're
Yeah.
done at 8:30, you're gone.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's stuff. You got to change.
Anybody from that original meeting you still keep in touch
Yeah,
with?
absolutely. I just saw. I did a review with one 2 weeks ago. One a lady is a friend of mine. I've invited to our. I mean, everybody does different. Well, actually, the real estate agent still does the same thing. So I saw her 2 weeks ago. One lady works at the Triangle Shooting Academy, and I invited her to our new group.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if I think that's probably I run into another 2 occasionally, but then they're doing the same things, an attorney and a financial planning.
When you left that first meeting,
Mhm.
kind of thoughts are going through your head from a business standpoint of how this could help you grow
It's
your
been so
book?
long, I don't really remember, but I know I thought it was a cool idea.
Okay.
I as much as I like talking and, feel, personable or whatever, I'm an introvert in the sense of going to a chamber meeting.
Yeah.
Going and just, like, having that, wow, there's so many people here and
And
trying to
80 of them are insurance people.
yeah, and just trying to have small talk, it's just not
Yeah.
fun to me. But so I love the idea that it was seat specific, number one, and
Yes.
then I love the idea that I have my time to talk, and then you have your time to talk, so we don't have to again talk about
Yeah.
what the weather. We can talk about business, and that's what
One
you're there for. And you make no bones about it. You're there to help each other, and you're there to talk business.
and one of the things we talk about each week are the skills you develop in BNI, and everybody thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna learn how to network." Sometimes it's public speaking.
Yeah, it definitely is that. And then knowing about being specific.
Yes. Yeah.
That you develop that because if I said I'm looking for anyone who owns a car, I mean,
I'm not motivated to
no,
help you because
no,
I'm not
but
gonna stop everybody.
right.
Yeah.
Or if I said if I'm looking for a lender at Prime Lending, I need
Yes.
someone who's working at Prime Lending.
Now you're talking.
Then,
Yeah.
that helps to be more specific.
Yeah.
I sat in a group, with somebody for a couple years. She did promotional products, and she said, "Do promotional products, blah, 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 hey, do promotional products. I know what you do." Then she said, cannot remember the name of the company. I'm gonna use Tycon. It wasn't Tycon. She said, "I wanna meet somebody at Tycon." And then I remember that a customer I had just talked with was like HR at Tycon.
Beautiful.
And so I introduced him. She got a massive account doing, I think she did something with a paper when it prints in triplicate,
Mhm.
probably don't even do that anymore. But so she got a big account through this massive company in
Very nice.
RGB strictly because she said the name of the company.
That's a
And
beautiful
so
thing.
that's a good example of being specific. That's so we
Yeah.
learned that through BNI.
Do you remember the first referral you got?
It would have, I mean, again through the mortgage lender, I'm
Do you
sure.
remember the first referral you gave?
No, I don't. Again, I mean, that's so long. Now I remember that now Leon, the guy that did the mortgage lender I was talking about,
Mhm.
I was buying my first house. The way I met him was I had a real estate agent in Parkwood where I grew up that had helped my parents buy their house, and then he helped me buy my first house. And so um, he said, "Call Leon to get your mortgage." I mean, it's like, okay, just I was good at taking instructions, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so I called Leon, and so while I was sitting there doing the loan application, he said I do insurance. He goes, "Well, how much would this house be?" And I said, "Oh, it's probably around $300." He said, "Okay, write it." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, write it. Go ahead and write it up." I said, "Oh, okay, that easy." So that's how I realized that mortgage lenders are the people that I need to see
Mhm.
because he was like, he's doing that process. So so he came and told me that he's the one that told me about it. An interesting thing, man, that guy was like he's 90 something now. Um, but he was like Forrest Gump, but in the smart way. Guy was a World War II fighter pilot, did mortgages. He says he invented cookies and cream ice cream and got sued by Nabisco of the or it's got a cease and desist from Nabisco. He owned a place called Swenson's in Chapel Hill, ice cream parlor. No longer there anymore, but he said he started putting the Oreos in the ice cream and started selling it that way, and then got a cease and desist. I mean, guy
No.
just did everything.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
Nice. How long were you in that chapter before you realized, okay, this is working out? And then you started being able to structure that as far as how you needed to meet people and grow your book
Oh,
of business.
I mean, it's always just kind of
Yeah.
worked. I don't. I mean, it's been so long. I don't remember, but it's always just worked that way. I mean, I always just like the whole concept, the giver's gain concept, and
Yeah.
the seat specific concept.
And
So
sometimes when we get stories from people and you're in that generic category, because everybody has to use you by state law for
oh
something,
right,
car or
hmm
home, right? Sometimes these referrals come from the weirdest places, don't they?
yeah.
Remember any out of the blue ones you've gotten or just I'm sure you're
So
at parties and
yeah,
they go, "Oh, you're the insurance guy.
yeah.
I have a question," or "Can you do this?"
No,
Right?
so nothing like that specifically comes to mind. What I will say, where you see the value of being such a long-term BNI member is the what I call maybe the referral tree. So, this
Okay.
person refers me, then this person refers me to that person refers
Yeah.
me, and then it just keeps on sprouting. I probably wrote 6 lines of business last month from BNI that is some way traceable back to BNI, whether it's a former member
Yeah.
or a person that was referred to me by somebody that was referred to me that was referred to me. So just the continual branching of that when you say calculate the income, there's literally no way I can count the income that I get from BNI, or have gotten. But I do keep up new business. But,
Is there a percentage of your 2018 revenue that came from BNI?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Do you know
So
roughly how
no,
much it was?
no clue. I'm not.
25%, you
So
think?
it's funny. Insurance is numbers, but I'm not a
You're
numbers
not
guy. No,
helping here. Yeah, you're
I'm not a
supposed to
good
give a
percentage.
good solid
No, I'm not a
number
good.
that
But I wouldn't be here for this long if it wasn't beneficial.
okay,
So I'll tell
alright.
you that. I mean, I'm putting number. I put something on on our sheet to keep up with numbers. Every 2 weeks, I pay my yearly membership, and it's enough to.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay,
So it doesn't. It's a no brainer for all of
okay.
us.
Alright,
And
good to
we're a small group, and so we're tight, and we've
mhm,
always been good friends, and it feels like when we first started it, when we were the golden child that is now the Bull
Bull
City
City,
one.
yeah.
That was us for a little while. We had about 25 at one time, and then just kind of things happen and life happens, whatever you change, you dwindle down. So then we've always hovered around that 12 to 15 mark, and but it feels like people have always been tight
Yeah.
being in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So.
How many different places has this chapter met at?
No, 10 easily.
Where were you before the Frontier?
Where were we? Probably maybe the Go School, Go Realty School,
Okay.
and then we've been at McAllister's. We were at Sal's Pizza for a while. That's now Cookout and on Highway 55. The best place we had was at Bryant Durham HVAC. Gave us a really big room
Oh,
to
okay.
use. That was great. So we met at Smith Barney before. We've met at Saladelia. Um, we've been a lot of places.
Now you also have listed a multi-year North Carolina Farm Bureau top
Yeah.
75 agent.
Yes.
Tell us what that
Okay.
means.
So we are in sales. Obviously, they always have carrots for us to shoot for, and then they do production. So we write a lot of products. So again, with BNI, I'm only speaking about auto, home, and personal life insurance. We write a lot of things, but those are the three main. There are about 900 agents in Farm Bureau, and at the end of every year, they rank everything we do, and then add in some other things like loss ratios, contests, and add some things, and then they award a ranking. And so my goal is just to finish in the top 75. So I figure 75 out of 900 is doing well. And so that's just a goal of mine. And so I've finished every year what they call my rookie year, which is my first full year. I finished fifth, and then since then I finished in the top 75 every single year, except for the year my son was born, '09. I did not. My first son. I did not finish in the top 75 that year.
You're
It
otherwise
was
occupied.
yeah, it
Yes.
was
Yeah.
life. I mean, again, totally different life change. You got to figure out what life is like when you
Yeah.
have to be home at a certain time and things. But other than that, I've finished every single year.
And you were mentioning earlier you were going out of town. Tell us
Yes.
where you're going.
So I'm fortunate. So every year, again, one of the carrots, the big carrot for the year is called the Round Table, and this year is to Maui.
Nice.
And I've never been. Man, I told you I've lived here my whole life. Went to Carolina. And I've never been anywhere. Before I started Farm Bureau, I'd been to Myrtle Beach, Disney World, DC. That's about it. A few other random places on the East Coast. But Farm Bureau, I mean, it's such a great company as far as awarding the upper. If you do your job and do it, do what you're supposed to do, they reward us well. And this will be my fifth time. So
Very
far.
nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. And
And I know
then,
your wife's looking forward to
yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
definitely.
Who's got the
Yeah.
kids?
It is we call it the manifesto of childcare. It's like a 5-page document about who's doing what when. But the majority of time we've had a part-time nanny since Cooper, my middle one, was born because it's cheaper to have her than it was to have two in daycare.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so she's still with us, part of the family. So she's
Oh,
going to
cool.
do a good bit of it. And then my mom and dad and
Okay.
then her mom will kind of split off a little bit. But they always stay at our house.
Yeah. Okay. Continuity for the kids.
Yeah,
Very nice.
and they're tracked out. They go year round, so they're not in school now. So that actually makes it a little easier. There's not a lot
Okay.
of the homework.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We are
I'm excited.
well, good. No, look, it's great. It's a great accomplishment too. I mean, it's nice to go once, but when you start going consistently, it tells you what
Yeah.
you're doing,
And
right?
I've been to Mediterranean. I've been to London, been to
Dang.
Alaska a couple of times, and yeah, I mean, lots of places. I've won. I've out of 19 years, I think I've won about 15 of them.
Okay.
So they're sending us all over the
Small
place.
town boy going to the big city,
Really,
right?
man.
We're here with Matt Stone with Farm Bureau Insurance. As we talked about earlier, Matt is a very proud University of North Carolina graduate. One of the neat things about him is we would like you to tell us a story of the game show you were on in college.
Yeah. So when we lived in an apartment, so this was my junior year, maybe, there was a cable access show called Slack Master, and it was done by UNC students. I know, strange name, but it was again pre-internet. So this is in '96. So because I feel like with the internet, there, I think the pop culture thing is a lot more in your face. But so then it was a pop culture trivia show. And so, game show like Jeopardy. And so they would have where you pick your category and they would just go down. And for whatever reason, I've always just been, my mind is ridiculous for pop culture. And then the final round, if you made through some of the questions, I mean, I saw it, there was like 80s hair band. Like, come on. Saved by the Bell was one. I was
Oh,
like,
good
come
one.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things I'm just like, this is going to be ridiculous. And so I don't remember some of the other categories, but there was this poor girl that was on there, and I just destroyed her. I mean, so much that I would like my clicker wasn't working, a little bit, so she could at least buzz in a little
Yeah.
and then try. But I just wore her out. But it was, I mean, it was if there was ever that and this Shazam game show that's out right now, if there's anything that's right up my alley, that's in my wheelhouse, any pop culture or music. Um, so and then the final round, if you won the show, then the final round was the Kevin Bacon game. You remember
Oh,
that?
yeah.
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 So it was they would give you 3 names and you had 1 minute to relate it, do the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So I did it in like seconds
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, and now I probably couldn't do it because it's been so long. But it was funny because before that game show came on, that was kind of a new phenomenon, and we would stand on our balcony drinking and just come up with different people, and we'd play it, just play it by ourselves, just before you go out.
Yes, yeah.
And, and so, yeah, so the fact that it was a game show and I won the hilarious thing is, do you win like what do you win? Some sort of
Hmm.
glamorous prize. I won a gift certificate to the Rathskeller, which was like the dirtiest
Oh, I
railroad.
remember
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah. I
That,
remember the
that was what I
Rathskeller,
won.
yeah.
So
Too funny. How
yeah,
many
but
people entered the show? Do you
it
know?
was I mean it was 2 people every week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So but yeah, it was a good time. I mean
Oh, she
the fact that the type of game show it was right.
yeah. Claim to fame,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is that on your resume somewhere?
No, so
Okay, alright. Probably best that way, right?
and something else at Carolina, I was also, a manager for the JV basketball team, and that may not be on
Back
any of
when
my
they
bio.
had JVs,
No, they
yeah.
still do.
Prominently, though, is it
No,
back then?
no, no, but you're thinking, so it started Coach Smith started it, when there was just a freshman team.
Mm,
Yeah, freshmen were not allowed to play varsity back in, maybe the '70s.
yeah.
And so
Back when
they
I was alive,
yeah,
before you,
yeah.
yeah.
So they had the freshman team
Mhm.
that they pulled students from the general population. And then I think a lot of schools have done away with it, but Carolina is one of the only D1 schools that have kept it up. And so it gives a regular student at Carolina the opportunity to put on that jersey and play on that floor, even just at the tryouts. But then they pick a big squad, and they're playing, they're part of the team, and so Coach Hanners and Coach Ford were there when I was there. So Phil Ford,
Mhm.
popular guy at Carolina, and now Coach Davis, Hubert Davis, is the coach of the JV team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a cool thing that somebody can play basketball.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm a great basketball player, except I can't shoot, dribble, defend,
Okay, but,
anything.
yeah,
Yeah, other than that,
yeah.
I'm great. I can set a screen.
You look good in the
Yeah, I
uniform,
can
right?
set a screen.
And you can take a charge too,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a manager. So we just did. We got we were there with the team, and then for the varsity games, we got to sit behind the bench. And so I've got a couple photos of me right behind the bench with Coach Smith standing up there. So
Alright.
yeah, so for a diehard fan, that's awesome.
I remember
Mhm.
because I moved here '74, so I
Mhm.
remember the big 4.
Yeah.
I remember Keenan, Reynolds, um,
Carmichael.
or
Mhm.
Carmichael, Reynolds, Cole Fieldhouse from
Uh-huh.
Maryland, Little John Coliseum,
Yeah.
just all those original
Mhm.
ACC gyms. It was hot and sweaty
Yeah.
and loud,
Yeah.
and
Carmichael's great.
Carmichael had the flip score in the corner.
Uh-huh.
I love that on
Yeah,
TV. I thought
they carried it over to the Smith Center when they first opened there, but then they obviously got
yeah,
rid of it.
yeah.
But I remember it being there. My dad worked. Both my parents worked at Carolina on staff, and so my dad just bought season tickets forever. So I grew up going probably about middle school on. I went to almost all the games. So I've just always
Yeah.
been a crazy
Can
fan.
we assume you did not apply at Duke?
Well, they wouldn't have gotten let me in. I don't know how the heck I got into
Yeah.
Carolina, but wouldn't have got in, couldn't afford it. So that Duke wasn't an option. And people ask me today, they're like, "What if your kids want to go to Duke?" I'd be thankful. I'd be
Yeah.
happy that they can go to Duke, and
On
if they can pay for
scholarship,
it,
right?
yeah, if
Yeah.
they can pay for it, great. Difference in sports and the schools, and same with state. I mean, the
Yeah.
odds of my kids getting into Carolina and or state, who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah, I want to get that. The school's different from wearing that ugly basketball uniform.
Yeah. Some of us laugh that we would not be able to get into the schools we got into back in the
I
day
know.
because the
There's
standards are
no
so
way I
high.
would get in now, and like I said, I didn't think I would get in then. So, my SAT scores were terrible. I had a lot of I worked and had made good grades, had a high class ranking, and was involved in a lot of things. So I
Mhm.
think that's what got me in. My SATs, they were
I
terrible.
think back in the day that was bigger than it is today. I think now it's just a system.
Is it? Yeah.
GPA, SAT scores are,
Mhm.
I took ACT to get
Yeah.
into Tennessee, but
Mhm.
Again, why they took me, I'm
Yeah.
thankful.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad.
yeah, no, I
It's
did
definitely
that.
life changing.
Yeah. So for individuals, we're here with Matt Stone with Farm Bureau
Mhm.
Insurance. Individuals, are we more undershired
Mm.
than overshired? And how did we get there and what
Oh
can
my,
we do?
that's a broad question. No, I think the easy answer is those people are underinsured because but the biggest thing I see in an underinsured situation would be liability on car insurance. And so because that number one affects the price a decent amount. So if you're I'm gonna say ignorant, not in a negative way, you're just a not informed shopper, you're gonna call somebody out, you call five different companies and want a quote, you might go for the cheapest one, but then that
Mhm.
cheapest one might be not, it might be quoting state minimum limits. An easy concrete example to explain on state minimum limits would be the property damage liability on is 25,000. So that means if you have state minimum limits and you hit a vehicle that is worth and do property damage more over $25,000, then the rest of it is on you. Insurance going to pay 25. So a lot of cars out there are worth more than that. I
Oh,
had a
yeah.
situation where one car, and I told them they need to have higher. They wanted the cheapest thing possible, so they got 25,000. A week later, they ran into somebody on I-40. That car hit another car, did $30,000 of
Oh.
damage. So I maybe jinxed them. I'm sorry, person. You should have listened to me. But so they had to pay $5,000 out of pocket. And so then you also get into the medical bills part. And
Mhm.
so medical bills, as you know, are high. And so if you don't have enough liability coverage, again, it's on you. So then you get sued to pay that. So even, going with the average or recommended coverage, that may or may not be enough because you never know how bad you're gonna hurt somebody until it's too late.
Yeah.
But, so we could get some advice on that, but that's the main thing that you see where people are underinsured because
Is
again, you just don't know.
yeah. Is there a recommended level that
Mm,
you
the
suggest?
most common average coverage would be 100,000 bodily injury per person, 300,000 each accident,
Okay.
and then so you hit 4 people, each person's covered 100,000, maximum 300,000 for everybody,
Oh,
and then 100,000 on property damage.
okay.
There's only like a $2 a 6-month difference between 25 and 100,000. I mean, it's nothing.
$2?
Yes, on the property
And they
damage.
didn't wanna pay that.
No.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but some people know more than you. And
what
so
yeah.
and so that's the main thing. And then you get into things with homeowners. I try to structure a policy with some extra endorsements and I don't even ask people. I just put them on there because there are some things that are not automatically included on the policy, but I see happen. So I just include it if I'm given a price, and that just comes from
One
experience.
one of the things I learned as in the pest control business
Mm.
is if I come in if I'm not insured, and by the way, I've been asked by 2 people
Mhm,
if I even have insurance. I walk into their house,
mhm,
and only 2 people have ever asked me, "Do I have insurance?" So I walk into your house, my company is not insured, and I fall down the steps in your house and I break my leg.
yeah,
It is your homeowner's
right,
policy. I did not know that till I got into this, and I've asked friends of mine, "Hey, if this happened, who would pay that?" And they're like, "I don't know."
yeah.
But it
Premises liability.
which is why you should always ask if you have a vendor coming in to work on your house, especially if it's on the roof or
Hmm.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have insurance?
Right, and that's just automatic on a homeowner's policy, but again, I found out again, I've been doing this a long time, but I mean, even just last week, I was going through, the policy with somebody to try to get their business, and I always like to get a copy of their current policy, so
Mhm.
that way, if I'm making recommendations, I want them to understand why,
Yeah.
not just coming up with something, and this was a perfect example because he had previously had his house up for rent, so he had a tenant there, but then they moved in, so now it's owner occupied. That is a totally different type of policy that he didn't realize and didn't change. So he's been there for 4 months and didn't have any contents coverage. So all of his stuff was not
Oh,
he only had the building covered. So I saved him about $600 a year and added contents coverage. So I like seeing what they
mhm.
currently have so I can explain.
Yep. Yeah, none.
So you're saying that it's $2
Mhm.
difference.
Yeah. The
What
property damage,
right.
not
Yeah,
the
I know.
bodily
I
injury.
mean,
Yeah.
why do people get a umbrella?
So that goes over your bodily injury liability. So, if you have so that's the part if you hurt somebody. So if you have, for example, 100,000, so I just said the average is 100,000. So you hit somebody and you've done $300,000 of medical bills to damage that person, then you're on the hook for that. So the umbrella liability then exceeds that coverage. So it goes above, it's excess liability protection above and beyond that 100,000. So the reason you would have that is if you have something to lose. If you make $20,000, live in an apartment, and you don't have a job, yeah, I could sue you for $3 million, but it doesn't matter. If you've built up your net worth, you've got something to lose other than your house. then you want to have an umbrella liability policy to protect that. Because if I'm now I don't know if attorneys do this, but if I'm an attorney and you hit my client, first thing I'm gonna do is go to Wake County tax site, see how much your house is worth. If your house is worth a good amount, then I imagine you probably have something to get. And so then you could
So
have
there's
coverage for that.
no average of what an umbrella coverage will cost. It
No,
all depends on how much you
yeah, a 2 car
you
in a normal mom and pop 2 cars with us is $189 a year for $1 million umbrella liability policy. 135 for 1 car, and it's price
so
per
the
car.
person that is has the minimum
Uh-huh.
can leave it at minimum,
No.
save the $2
Nope.
and then get
Nope.
umbrella?
You have
Oh,
to so you
okay.
have an umbrella liability policy. Your underlying because it's excess policy. It's a great insurance policy because it's really the way insurance was meant to be, which is low frequency but high payout. So meaning it's probably not going to happen, but if it does, you glad that you have it. And so it want that policy to keep the prices lower. It wants your car insurance to pay the majority of claims. So your minimum limits for us, most companies are about the same, would be 250,000 per person. And then it's gonna then it would
And
take
how
care of
much
that.
more is that
Oh,
roughly
that's
average?
$50 every 6 months.
Yeah,
But that's a
okay,
big
yeah,
variant, the big variance with that.
okay.
If
So
if there's a
$80.
family with younger drivers,
Mhm.
would you recommend the
Yeah,
umbrella
because yeah, I mean,
more so than if they're empty nesters?
no, I'm gonna recommend it if you have assets to lose. So,
Okay, I got you,
if
right.
again, you could be in the same situation with a 16-year-old, but if you don't have anything to lose,
Okay.
but, the shocker with that, the difficult part on the sale of that is they're already going up a lot just by the fact they're adding that new driver,
Yeah,
and then you're also saying, "Oh, you also might wanna do this." So then it just
yeah.
but whatever people see value in. And it does go down. That new driver inexperience charge does drop pretty significantly after 1 year if
Yeah.
they don't have anything, and then it continues down.
For people watching today, if they've not heard from their insurance agent, A, they should call you.
Yeah.
But if they have not, what should they go? They should go look at their policies. What's the first couple things they should look
So
at
again, liability. So at least have bodily injury, 100,000 per person, 300,000 each accident
on auto?
on auto,
Okay.
right? That's the minimum. And then I would say something else is that just an inconvenience. Again, what you think about, that's the one that's going to put you into a financial catastrophe if something happens. The other things are more inconveniences. An example that most people think they have that I always put on there, but maybe they may not have, would be something called extended transportation. And I hate that name, but all it is just rental car reimbursement. If you wreck your
Oh,
car,
yeah.
yeah, you wreck your car, we're going to pay for the rental. People assume that's covered, and most of the time they think, "Oh yeah, I've just got that," but it's not automatic. So I
Yeah.
think again, something like that. If you would want towing coverage, you just want to look at that. Your deductibles, again, I don't care what your deductible is because without a doubt, 100% you're going to pay $500 and we're going to pay the rest.
Yeah.
You never know how bad you're going to hurt somebody, and so that's what you spend your money there.
And
And then another thing on homeowners, I would say most something that there is people don't know about would be the jewelry
Yeah.
limitation. So if you've got, let's say your wife has an engagement ring, that's the most common thing. You want to make sure that you have that separately insured or listed as an endorsement on that policy, and then anything at all is covered. So you've got, wedding, engagement ring, $5,000, and then even if she loses it, it's covered.
Okay.
Where that's not covered. If you lose your wallet, that's not covered by home insurance. But
Generally, what I found in life is the school of hard knocks is
yeah,
the best teacher. So
definitely.
about 3 years ago, I bought a town and country minivan.
Mhm.
Loved it. Bought it used, which was fine. And then 3 weeks later, I'm driving through a neighborhood headed out to 40, and I get T-bone. And it was this person's fault coming out of the side road, a couple kids at night in the dark having
Mhm.
fun. And the lady who hit me said, "No, no, my friend behind me pulled out and nudged me out into the road." And the cop got there. He goes, "I've been doing this 15 years." She was going 35 miles an hour when she hit you because
Right.
the airbag came up and everything. I didn't have gap insurance,
Mhm.
and it cost me $3,500 out of pocket.
Yeah.
And I should have bought gap insurance. So for those listening, if you buy a car, get the gap insurance because if something happens, I was on the hook for the difference of what I bought it for versus the blue book at the time.
Right. And you
Right?
buy that from the finance company, not us. But unless you have something that we offer, and a handful of companies offer it, not everybody, something called replacement insurance that you can buy on a brand new car. Now, in this case, it wouldn't matter, but on a
Okay.
brand new car that's less than 1,000 miles and you're the original owner, then for 5 years, we will replace that vehicle rather than depreciate out. So we'll buy you, if it's your 4-year-old car, we'll buy you a brand new whatever it is you drive.
Nice.
And so then you don't really need the gap insurance because we're already paying a whole lot more. They're just paying that loan off. We're buying you a brand new car. So I always add that, so that's something that, we started a system now that my assistant, I've got Heather that works with me. That's awesome. She is licensed and can do things, but she works for me. She calls all the renewals each week just to say, hey, want to offer an opportunity to review your coverage, just to make sure that that number one, they know we're looking at it, and then two, if there's any questions that you might have, or if I see something to bring up, we can at least touch, put that touch, touching base at least once a year.
What's the best thing drivers can do to cover themselves if they're hit by somebody that is uninsured?
Um, I do have a funny story about that too.
Please tell.
So if you're hit by, well, no, the best thing you can do with uninsured is just make sure the cops get there. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
do a
Well, it's
police
good to
report.
know.
Yeah, I mean, do a
Okay.
police report. Don't let them talk you out of getting a police report. Hey, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have driven without insurance.
Yeah.
Or you should have a license. I mean, and there's a million reasons why maybe that happened, but that's not your concern at the moment. Your concern is getting your car fixed. So I'd make sure you do a police report.
But does
The
the 100, 300 cover that?
uninsured, yeah,
Okay.
you have separate uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, and typically you'll see those numbers are the same as your third party liability, unless you get somebody who, again, hey, I want a quote, and the agent might say, oh, I'm not going to quote that quite as high, so that way, maybe it's a little bit less expensive. And I don't know if that's what happens, but you do see different limits, and that's not really normal. But
So if somebody calls you today wanting auto insurance, is that part of the conversation?
yes,
You're telling them we recommend highly that you
yes,
have uninsured.
yes.
How did you say that?
Uninsured
Or
and underinsured. You don't have insurance, or you don't have enough insurance.
Okay.
So,
Right.
the story about being hit by uninsured is something you haven't got to. Is I'm also previously a deputy in Durham
Yes.
and still a reserve, and I probably shouldn't have done this. However, a few years back, I was on turning left on the Briar Creek Parkway, and a lady was turning right on the Briar Creek Parkway off 70, and she merged right into me and hit me. I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, rather than the brake lights come on, the gas went. And she accelerated and just started hauling tail down Briar Creek Parkway. And the first words, I don't know if I said, "Oh, heck no!"
Yeah.
Actually picked up the phone, started dialing 911. So the lady just hit me and was leaving. I started chasing her, and so she busted through. There was a red light turning left into Briar Creek Shopping Center. She ran that red light. All the cars slammed on brakes. So since they were stopped, I was like, okay. So I just laid on the horn and just followed right in, and she starts weaving in and out of Briar Creek Parkway, and I'm just chasing her right behind. Then finally, she just pulls over, and then she gets out and says, "What? Are you a cop?" I said, "Yes." And she went, "Damn!" And so, and that's what it was. It's the first thing I did. I told the police, I said, "Y'all better come because I'm chasing her." And so then they came, and the first thing I did was took a picture of her driver's license. I mean, I'd already called out her license plate, and then the first thing I did, I just went and just looked in her door jamb and took a picture of the VIN. To make sure that it was, because it was like, no insurance, and she had a kid in the car that wasn't strapped in, no license. I mean, everything that could be wrong with the car was messed up. And so,
When your clients are in a car wreck, video and pictures now is huge, isn't it?
yeah,
Just
not
get your
video,
phone
but
out,
yeah, taking
pictures.
photos of
Okay.
it. The ultimate, there's a lot of truths in or like this always happens in professions. And so the one for insurance is if your car's hit, the person was flying and they hit you and destroyed your car. If you hit somebody else, I just touched them. I
Yeah.
just barely nicked them. 100% of the time, if it's a claim, unless the car is just destroyed, I just touched them. So yeah, but any pictures, and again, I would always get a police report because
Yep.
because even if the cops get there and they don't want to do it because of the minor damage, having that third party witness, it can help because stories change.
And usually if you're guilty, you're gonna talk the other person out. "No, we don't
Yeah,
need the cops. Here's my
yeah.
information." And
Yeah, and North Carolina is something called a contributory negligent state, and there's not many of them, but that just means if you're even 1% contribute to the fact that there was an accident, the other person does not have to be liable. So the most common example of that, where we see it would be back in parking lots,
yeah.
like they're backing in each other. If that happens, you're not going to be responsible for the other person, but your insurance pays yours, theirs pays for theirs, and a lot of times it gets into he said, she said. Even if it was 100% not your fault,
Yeah.
you might have been sitting there and the car just backs up and hits you. It's still probably going to be contributory. So because you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Um,
And we did not get in talking about your reserve Durham
yeah,
County deputy sheriff. We
yeah,
didn't get into that, but that's the beauty. I also talk about the types of people you meet in BNI is people like you giving back to the community and
mhm,
involved in the community.
yeah,
And I know you've had a wonderful relationship with the sheriff's
Yes,
department.
I did it 2 years out of college and then didn't love it, and I was looking for something different, and I lucked into I mean, it's a story about how I got the job at Farm Bureau, but, I lucked into it, and so then, haven't looked back, but I still, it is definitely in my blood, and I love doing it, I love the service, and so I just kept up with it. So I've been doing that 22 years.
Nice. And if you need insurance, if you've not heard from your insurance person, and this is April, what are we on, the 9th, 10th, something like that, call Matt, and
Yes.
he will call you back, I
Oh,
promise you,
yes.
and he will be in touch with you long before your renewal date. So give Matt Stone a call at Farm Bureau. Matt, we've had a great time talking with
Thank
you
you. I
today.
appreciate being here.
Enjoy your trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, thank you,
Congratulations
thank
on
you.
earning that. And we will see everybody next week when our guest is Tina Travis with Aaron Girl of Durham. Thank you for joining us on Triangle BNI.
See you later.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.